Oh man, I missed that music for a whole
Here she
week.
is.
Amy's back.
I'm back from a little vacay, so I'm going to annoy you guys for the next hour because I'm in a relaxed, good vacation, post-vacation mood. Yay!
I feel like you're
Good luck.
wearing what you were drinking your last margarita in. You got on the plane, you came back, and here you are.
That's pretty much it.
Looks nice.
That's it.
Yeah.
You look fresh though. Like this is what time off does for you. You look fresh.
Yes. I feel good. Feeling pretty
Good
good.
for you.
We're glad to
Hopefully
have you
it'll
back.
hang on for a few days. All right.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We're going to get into some difficult news, as you guys have probably been watching over the last 36 hours. An off-duty firefighter, a teenager, a 9-year-old girl, all giving emotional testimony in the second day of the Derek Chauvin trial. The former Minneapolis police officer charged with the murder of George Floyd. Each of the witnesses recounted how they begged officers to help Floyd, 6 people testifying in all, including 4 witnesses who were younger than 18 on the day of Floyd's arrest and death. Their identities concealed from TV cameras, but the impact of Floyd's death heard loudly.
When I look at George Floyd, I look at my dad, I look at my brothers, I look at my cousins, my uncles, because they are all black. I have a black father, I have a black brother, I have black friends. And I look at that and I look at how that could have been one of them. It's been nights I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more and not physically interacting and not saving his life. But it's like, it's not what I should have done, it's what he should have.
Yeah, so that sentiment there and the testimony heard throughout the day through several witnesses today, everybody saying, you know, they tried to step in, at least verbally, wish they would have done more, and now living with this guilt for not physically inserting themselves in the situation. Really tough to hear. Brandon Pope's joining us now, too, for a little reaction on today's testimony.
Yeah, probably the most emotional and gripping day of the trial so far. And I tried my best to tune in as much as possible, but it's really hard to hear those accounts and to hear the grief and the trauma these people have experienced, watching somebody die in front of their eyes. That's some heavy stuff and something no one should have to see. And so to hear their responses to all this was really interesting. I was also intrigued by the defense's strategy that's really starting to take shape here, and I'm intrigued to see how they go forward.
Yeah, I think a lot of journalists, I'm doing the same thing, Brandon, where I have to kind of watch from afar. I'm watching to see what's going on. I'm looking at the headlines. I prefer to read the news as opposed to watching the news and watching these people's testimony, but I'm reading them just because it's so emotional. And Amy mentioned a few of the people. I mean, there was a girl on a walk with her friend. She said she was afraid of Chauvin, and another witness hasn't been back to the scene because they are absolutely traumatized by what has happened. And it just goes to show, like, these people, they're victims in their own sense too. This is supposed to be a police officer that's serving and protecting, and the community is afraid of them because of this officer's actions. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, I listening to that testimony, I just want to say to Darnell, it's like, thank God we all have our roles to play sometimes, and taking that video changed the world, changed the country. Like, it's going to have a ripple effect that has already, of course, started through the summer and hopefully will continue for years and decades. But what an honest human reaction she has, just the guilt that she's overcome with. I know other people around the area too feel the same way, but you just want to say, like, no, you did such an important thing in that moment. And I know you're filled with guilt, but you just want to give that person a hug and say, you did what you ended up doing has changed so much already.
Yeah, the last testimony of the day today was an off-duty firefighter who was not in uniform and tried to approach and assess the situation and asked to get help, asked them to check his pulse, and wasn't taken seriously, or at least wasn't listened to from what we heard in the testimony thus far. And what do? You're talking to police officers. We were all brought up to, respect police officers. Where is that line? And do you cross it? Because if you would have crossed it, who knows how many more people could have been hurt that day?
Yeah,
And
she said
Amy,
she
I thought it
tried
was
to
striking.
approach. She
Yeah.
tried to approach and render aid, to your point, Amy, and she was told to stand back. She was literally not allowed to go render medical aid to George Floyd, who was on the ground. And the police officers did not take a pulse either.
Yeah.
I was struck by how the defense tried to interrogate her, and other witnesses tried focusing on the language used against the officers. He kept asking, did you call him the B word? Did you say MFB and this and that? And it sounds like he's trying to create a strategy where he's trying to argue the chaos around Derek Chauvin somehow caused him to act irrationally, that calling him the B word means he had to kill somebody. I don't know where they're going with that, but it seemed really out of left field to like press all these people. Oh, well, you called him the B word, right? Oh, you called him this, right? You were pretty angry, right? Like, what? Of course they were. They're
First of
watching
all,
someone die.
Yeah, they're paid and trained to knock that noise
Not
out.
react.
And secondly, the calmest person in that video is Derek Chauvin for 9 minutes. I mean, with a steady look on his eyes, staring everyone else down. He looks like he has complete control of everything he's doing. To the point of firefighters and police officers, that is, it's interesting, but that comes up a lot. The contention between first responders and police and things that happen on scene. Who controls that situation, when and where? And hopefully maybe something that can come out of this is a little bit more clear language about when someone needs aid, that the firefighters, the police obviously have a role to play to ensure the firefighters and everyone else's safety in those situations, I guess. But that first aid needs to be administered. That is first. That's why even like convicted murderers go to the hospital for their care and they're handcuffed to the bed to make sure they're okay before anything else happens. That the same exact thing should happen in the moment you're on those scenes.
Yeah,
Well,
and it really, like Brandon mentioned, they're trying to paint the picture of this, that it was turning into, for lack of a better word, an angry mob, and that the officers kind of held the line just because they weren't sure how people were going to react. Now, you listen to the testimony, especially when you're hearing from this off-duty firefighter who says she came upon Chauvin and he seemed to have rested his entire weight on Floyd's neck and even had his hand in his pocket. So if you think of that picture visually, even if you didn't see that per se, that seems very carefree and careless of a human being.
So I think the Black community is on the edge of their seats, but at the same time, not holding their breath. And I think that clearly just waiting to see what happens. I do know that the charges are separate. He could be convicted of all, some, or none. So that gives me a little hope that maybe he would see some prosecution, that maybe he would see some kind of penalty for what he's done. You definitely don't want to see him go, clear scot-free, but we're just waiting to see what happens.
Look, every case should be treated individually, right? We love to say that it's important to this justice system, but I did find myself reflecting today, how many times do we have to say that, though, in certain cases? And how many young black men by the hands of John Burge in this city were stripped of that presumption of innocence when they walked into the courtroom with a false confession? How many black men were attacked and killed and lynched by mobs where there was not a single moment of justice in that case? We all talk about the criminal justice system needs to stand up, and if he's acquitted, that's that's why you had the burden of proof and you need unanimous by the jury. But you know what? That has been crap for decades, centuries for Black Americans, and I can just feel the frustration without experiencing it myself that someone must be had, that we prop up this justice system, that it will take care of this, when the reality is it hasn't.
And as we just heard from the witness, who was a woman, she'd say that she has a Black father and Black brothers and Black cousins and Black friends, and how it just impacts like that. Certainly reverberated within me, because that's exactly how we're thinking. That's how Black Americans are thinking when they see this for over 9 minutes that he was on George Floyd's neck. It's words are lost.
This is gonna be tough.
I mentioned this the other day, but this is the pivotal case, because this is 30 years, 40 years, hundreds of years building, and to see all the protests and action and symbolism people were throwing out with their black squares, like, we got to see some movement here, and this case is really going to be the litmus test for that, really.
And it's all on tape.
And it's all on tape. I'm glad that we have cameras
We're all
inside.
a jury.
Well,
so yeah.
That's just think. I hate to bring it up, but Laquan McDonald was also all on
You're
tape, and there are still a lot
Girl.
of people that
Oh,
didn't
there's
think
plenty
that
others.
Girl.
went the right
Oof.
way completely.
Okay.
So, continuing on, Brandon, take over.
Yeah, guys. All right. So the final season of Supergirl kicks off tonight on CW 26. And after the break, actor Jon Cryer, a.k.a. Lex Luthor himself, shares how he almost got written off the show. We'll be back. The sixth and final season of Supergirl premieres tonight on CW 26. I talked to actor Jon Cryer, who plays the big bad villain Lex Luthor, about how the pandemic changed the show's storyline and what to expect when it comes to this first episode.
The pandemic really threw everything for a loop. We had shot a bunch of stuff for the season finale of season 5, and we couldn't use it. And it was some great stuff. So what they did was the writers really worked out a whole new plot for the series finale. That was also another thing that the writers got the information that this was going to be the final year.
Bring it on, Supergirl.
So that allows them to pull out all the stops. And that's what I love about this new iteration of the first episode, is that they've got all the great stuff, and yet they're setting up this season that's really gonna blow everybody away. So it's really fun to be a part of that, I have to say, especially since, like I said, I was only supposed to do 3 episodes.
One had gold eyes and it adored him.
Lex was supposed to get in there and die in 3 episodes, boom. But then they wanted to do Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I was like, I want to do that. And so the rest is history.
You can watch the season 6 premiere of Supergirl tonight at 8 p.m. on CW 26. What's up, John?
All right. Well, today was a really nice day, but the temperatures have already started falling. And look at tomorrow. We're going to have sub-freezing wind chills throughout a lot of the day, only into the 40s. And here comes opener. Man, we had great weather for a couple weeks. And, of course, it's going to be terrible. Then it warms up. This report sponsored by United Auto Insurance. Get your free quote, call, or click today. Amy.
All right, thanks, John. The news you need to know. The ACLU is calling a new law passed in Arkansas the single most anti-trans law ever passed by a state. The governor is expected to sign it, banning gender-affirming care for trans youth. The law would make it a felony for doctors to provide any treatment, hormonal or otherwise, to any trans youth. Lawmakers behind the bill say kids should be at least 18 to make decisions about gender identity. It's a very frustrating bill because it seems like those who crafted it don't seem to understand the way the medical community works already. They don't normally do any sort of medical procedure on kids under 18 anyway.
Yeah, politicians not understanding science. Color me shocked. No, this is insane because you say, oh, by 18, right? That seems reasonable, right? Oh, they should wait till they're 18. Half of trans men or trans men teens, so 18 years old or younger, say they've tried to kill themselves.
Wow.
35% of trans women teenagers say they've tried to kill themselves at least once in their life. Everyone in the world likes to cite, there's this one example of someone, and I'm sure there's a few others limited, where someone did transition or they took hormones and they regretted it later in life. Here's the difference. That person's alive, right? That person is still alive versus the thousands of trans teenagers that kill themselves because they don't feel accepted, loved, not able to do what they're able to do to try and be themselves. So yes, is there a risk that perhaps a 14-year-old, 15-year-old in their 20s or 30s says, maybe I jumped the gun on that. Maybe a couple of them, but you're going to save thousands of lives. And this bill is going to kill teenagers.
Wow. I appreciate how you put that and just really made it really black and white, John. I appreciate how you put that. I guess I have a more moderate approach in the sense that I would just like to see it be treated on a case-by-case basis as a discussion, a decision between a doctor, a child, and that parent. I think it's up to them to be able to make their decisions. And I'll say for 18, I knew well before age 18 that I was heterosexual and that I was attracted to men. I knew that well before the age of 18. So I would just really like to see it be treated on a case-by-case basis, the same way that we talk about abortions. I would like to see lawmakers who are mainly white heterosexual males not make decisions for things that don't impact them.
Well, and the thing is, the medical community has talked about these hormonal therapies. Well, they can help these kids feel good in their own skin as they are getting older. They also can be reversed. So these are not medical procedures. They're not talking about gender reassignment surgery. They're talking about hormonal therapies that can help these kids get through like the toughest part of any kid's age. If if you don't think you're anything awkward, it's a hard time, right? You add this into it. And they
even
need
if you
the
fit
help.
inside the norm.
The norm, right? I mean, that's
to
an
your
awful time.
Not understanding the medical community, because isn't there, I mean, obviously I don't know the ins and outs because I'm not a doctor, but I know when you go to get plastic surgery, elective surgery, breast implants, there are doctors that they'll opt not to perform your surgery because there's a certain risk, or because they don't agree with it, or because it doesn't fit their specialty, whatever the case is. So
body
again,
dysmorphia
to be able to make it, and they have consultations and they talk to you about why you want, breast implants or body enhancements or something like that. So I imagine that it might be somewhat of a similar conversation, if not even more conversation, surrounded by consultation for a gender change.
Right.
I'd boycott Arkansas, but I wasn't going anyways. Okay, really quickly, a tweet from the agency that controls U.S. nuclear weapons had a lot of people worried. Let's take a look at it. Look at the gibberish that was sent out and apologies afterwards, but it could have been code. It could have been a warning to North Korea. Maybe the chain of command broke down, leaving the U.S. vulnerable to first strike. Well, it turns out journalist Michael Thalen had the same questions. He filled out a FOIA request, and here was their reply. It turns out that it was just a kid, a young child, taking advantage of the situation, playing with the keys on their parents' keyboard, and unknowingly posting the tweet. Amy, I'm sure you've experienced something like that. Not to this scale.
Question, if they get on my lap, they all just want to hit Q, 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 M, 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 Q, 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 because those are the letters they recognize. So they just happen to have a couple keys.
Because those are their names. Really cute. So I was like, okay, this is classic work at home story, right?
Right.
But then it's like you take it a step further. I know we're all working at home, but this is a pretty important job that it sounds like this person has. Like this kind of stuff cannot happen.
Yeah.
Well, at least they
No,
didn't reveal anything. So
Yes.
Right. It could have been worse, right?
it could have been like, oops, I opened mommy's file and actually like took a screen grab of it and sent it in a tweet. That could have been much worse.
Yeah, here are the nuclear plans, exactly. All right, let's get Krista Green in this. She'd never make a typo anywhere on our social media pages, KG.
Oh, never, ever have I ever made a typo. All right, coming up, we watched a lot of TV in 2020, y'all know, but there was one genre we were all really all in on. I'll tell you about that in my digital report. And coming up at 6:30, we are catching up with Chicago Fire stars David Eigenberg and Eamonn Walker. Stick around, everybody.
Enrique, appointments available. Appointments available.
Appointments available.
Hurry!
Get that boy back!
Megan, get it.
Our whole lives now are checking our phones for available appointments
Refresh.
for the vaccine.
Refresh.
I got an appointment
yeah.
set today.
That's what I'm doing right now, actually.
Oh, congrats, Amy. Brandon, good luck to
telling
you.
What's that?
Yeah.
Congrats, Amy, and good luck to Brandon.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's like
yes
getting
or
a
no?
gym here hitting refresh.
Enrique didn't get his, sorry.
That's happened to me
You already
earlier
missed
today.
Try next time.
Keep
Try next
trying.
time.
Keep
but always
trying.
Keep trying.
This is how we
Fine.
feed the Portillo staff. Okay. Tonight we are getting a look at what everybody was watching last year. Okay, so data from Para Analytics shows documentaries were the fastest growing genre in streaming in 2020.
Yes.
So y'all remember Tiger
good.
King, The Last Dance, Paris Hilton, The Social Dilemma. I mean, there's a good chance you got your doc on in 2020. And I have a confession,
I got my
you
doc
guys.
on.
I never watched Tiger King, if you can believe it. I
Really?
never watched it. Yeah,
Why?
I know. And looking at this today, I was like, wow, I really It's way too late, but I mean, here's what's coming up. In the news of documentaries, this is what it's in store for us. So the Wall Street GameStop saga, that's picked up by both Discovery Plus and Hulu. I'm excited for that. I will watch that.
Yeah.
A limited series based on. Oh yeah, go ahead, John.
No, I was just gonna say that I don't really think Tiger King, The Last Dance are actually documentaries though, because the sources of them are part of the production.
It's really just like the doc, the doc folder of things, documentary,
docu-series.
Yeah.
I will say
Basically,
for Tiger King, if you do watch it, don't watch the whole thing. Just do like the first episode or two and move on with your life.
What?
I was
really
very
don't think-
upset. I'm
it's
still
over.
upset. I watched that much of that.
Krista, I disagree.
It's
Watch
so
the
over.
entire thing.
Watch the whole
Don't do
thing.
it.
No way. I cannot. I will not. I refuse.
It's like
Don't
what,
waste
6
your life.
episodes?
Also,
That's short.
No, it's like 8.
The point of this was that people are really gravitating towards those news stories, even if it's in just documentaries form. So we're also going to see The Battle for Uber. That's a best-selling New York Times book that they're putting into a docuseries. And all that drama about WeWork, that sketchy corporate climate, that's coming to Hulu too. So I'm excited for these. John, I know you love your docs. You love them. And I clearly need to get on the train.
You know what's funny is
favorite
I
too.
just find nonfiction to be way more interesting than fiction. I just picked up my first fiction book that I started reading in like 14 years. There's like the real world is crazy enough. We don't need to make up stories.
Right.
We don't need Brandon Pope
Where did I
superhero
think
stuff.
movies came from the real people that did all this stuff?
Focus on the
Can
real
I
stuff.
say though, I think it's awesome that people are pursuing information, and there's this whole debate about this, next generation that they don't watch the news or they don't like it. They're not consuming information. And this goes to show that people do want it. It just has to be served up on a platter.
Yeah.
True.
Dolly Parton was
Carol
great.
Baskin
Just saying.
platter.
I gotta watch that Dolly Parton. I know you said it was
good.
good.
If you're looking
Amy.
for a great documentary, the Biggie Smalls documentary on Netflix,
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, I
And
watched
the
that
Quincy
too.
Jones
It was good.
documentary as well.
Next
Quincy
in my
Jones
line.
is good too.
That
Put it in the
Blockbuster
queue.
one is new on Netflix too. I want to see that.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Welcome, 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 everybody. You are watching The Jam. Thanks for joining us on a Tuesday. Can you believe it's already Tuesday? The week is screaming by, right, guys?
Amy, you were not here for 6 work days. Give me a break.
It's just Tuesday. It's just Tuesday. That's what you say on a Thursday, not on a Tuesday.
That's Cancun
so
Amy coming back. Yeah.
I wasn't in Cancun, John.
I know. You're right. That's just the persona I like to give you when you wear the clothes like that.
Well, thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much. Let's rock and roll here. Block Club Chicago, of course, the hyper-local website covering Chicago's neighborhoods, led by a team stacked with strong women. Founding editors Jen Sabella and Stephanie Lulay share what it means to have a diverse newsroom led by women.
As somebody who came up with that not being the case, where I often felt like the only woman in the room, it makes such a huge impact on how things are covered, how things are edited, and it's just a better user experience to have 50% of the population represented in your coverage. If you're not seeing things from a perspective of a woman, you're not likely to see something that is a story as a story. So having diversity in the newsroom in both gender and race is so important for the news to do your job properly.
Stephanie, do you hear from your subscribers and people that come follow you guys? I don't know if they say it straight out, like, thank you for the diversity, but I imagine they feel more representative in the coverage.
Yeah, a lot of our readers we do find are women. And I think it's because they relate to us, whether that's like in the voice that we portray. It's not just that we have a lot of women on staff. Like 85% of our leaders here in the Block Club newsroom are women, and we are very proud of that. And I think it reflects in our coverage, and not only how we're able to advocate for other women, we're able to advocate for other groups of people too.
I think when people read Block Club Chicago stories, one of their first responses is, how do they get this? So Jen, how do your reporters get such great stories?
It's because they work out of the neighborhoods they cover. And I think that just being embedded in the neighborhood, oftentimes our reporters live in the neighborhoods they cover. And you know how it is. When you live in a neighborhood, you notice things that somebody just passing through is just not going to notice. And you build relationships that somebody just passing through is not going to build. So a lot of our biggest stories, like Loretto Hospital story that our breaking news editor Kelly Bauer broke, comes from reader tips. So people just know that we're there. They know they can trust us, and we're accessible. We let people just like respond, just hit reply to our newsletters, send us tips on Instagram, call our hotline. So we have a lot of ways people can reach us, and our reporters are just there. It's easy to pitch something when the reporter's right in the neighborhood.
You glossed over it and the hotline, but you guys are probably so incredibly proud. Stephanie Lulay, this coronavirus hotline that you've done. I mean, you fielded hundreds of calls and really connected people to things that they need.
Yeah, early on in the pandemic, we were just hearing from people that there was way too much coronavirus information out there. They were overwhelmed. They didn't know how to get tested, or we had a lot of people out of work. They didn't know how to get free food. They were looking for free food or programs like that for the first time ever. But this information, we found that this information really wasn't reaching people. So we decided to launch a free bilingual coronavirus hotline to really match readers with exactly with the information that they need. From like the testing and vaccination process, so much of it depends on who you are as an individual, right? Are you over 65? Do you live in a certain neighborhood? So we're really able to match people directly with that very specific information that they need that really might not have made a story for us.
Jen Sabella, Stephanie Lulay, two of the very strong women, many strong women at Block Club Chicago. Thanks for your time. Keep up the great work, okay?
Thanks, John.
And of course, you can go to Block Club Chicago's website for all these great stories. And let's get the hotline number up there as well for people if they can find out some information about that. Amy.
All right. Time for a little Chicago in 60. President Biden's first slate of judicial nominees includes a slot on the 7th Circuit, which covers Chicago. Biden has nominated former defense attorney Candace Jackson Aquini. If she's approved, she'd be the only Black woman on that court. The city is opening 2 more mass vaccination sites, one near Wrigley Field and one at Chicago State University. They'll be able to take 5,000 people a day starting on Monday. Appointments are going to be released later this week, so you just have to stick around and keep on trying. Chicago-based Cameo, now valued at over $1 billion. The app connects celebrities to fans through personalized videos. Sales quadrupled during the pandemic, and we talked to two celebs who are really cashing it in.
It's like at least $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
I figure if I keep doing it every day, honestly, it's a half hour.
That's
You
it.
can zip right through them.
I get them. I knock them out. I do about 1.5 to 2 minutes for everybody, and it's like I'm like, okay, that pays that bill. That pays that bill. You know.
Oh, I know.
Oh, living a dream.
Yeah, right? Okay, so speaking of cash, here are the top 3 celebs, how much they're raking it in on Cameo. You have Caitlyn Jenner making $2,500, Boozy Badass, the rapper, making $1,500, and Kevin O'Leary, the investor from Shark Tank. Oh, that's right, that guy. Gosh, I can't believe how much these people are making.
Yeah,
Hey, Kevin O'Leary is the only one that should have that price on there because I could see business investors wanting to pay that much for that. Like the other people, no, come on.
But it's not like he's going to give you tips on how to do stuff, right? Or maybe he is. I don't know.
True.
Right. I think that it's...
Go ahead, John.
Okay, no, you're good. I was just going to say that I think what's so fun about it is it's a lot of these B or C or D-list stars that are making a ton of money. Like Kevin from The Office is making gobs and gobs of money, $1 million a year in this thing. And it's because like it's a chance to connect to, look, everyone has they're D-list celebrities, some of them, but there's a D-list celebrity out there that's everyone's favorite. And to like get a message. I actually bought a Cameo for my brother when he was a little under the weather from a Donald Trump impersonator, wishing him well.
No.
Yeah, I forked over $100 for that. And it was like the best thing we ever did. He said it was the best gift he's ever gotten. He did it so well. It was so funny. And we keep on quoting it and sharing it back and forth months and months later. So at first I was like $100 for a little message. Oh, it was so good.
When I first heard about Cameo, when it came out, I was just like, okay, this is a cool idea, but if they can't get big name celebs on here, then it's not going to pop like it should. It's not going to be that interesting. It's not going to make as much money as it could. The pandemic has certainly served them well.
Yeah, a lot of these big actors are bored, right? Might as well make a few extra bucks while you're not working.
I have a buddy that works over Cameo, and he's trying to get me on it. And I'm like, I would be so embarrassed to list $1.50 for a message. Like,
no,
like what?
John,
who wants to hear me?
You're at least $19.99. At least.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
John Hanson.
I would take that. Are you kidding? No way. All right, guys. Speaking of which, we're going to play Child Please here. News that makes you want to shake your head. Brandon Pope is here for fun reactions. He can say his child thank yous after this. First of all, news of vaccine passports is sending many conservatives into a bit of a tizzy, including the only member of the House Committee of Too Much Time on Our Hands, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Take a look.
This would mandate your ability to be able to travel, your ability to be able to go to events, your ability to be able to buy and sell. And I asked the question earlier today, is this something like Biden's mark of the beast?
Child, please. Come on. Vaccine cards are nothing new. That's how you go to school. That's how you get into many countries already. We got 600,000 some dead people in this country soon. You don't want a vaccine, whatever, that's fine. But private companies and other countries saying you can't come in, that's part of their rules. Child, please.
Child,
please, indeed. Get her out of
the
here.
owners of the world's largest truck stop in Iowa have donated $10 million to the University of Iowa football program. The money will help fund the head coach position forever. The money's gonna help fund the head coach position forever, and then other athletic projects the money can be used for too. The couple that's doing it, they say they're doing it simply because they love the football team, they love the program, they get really nice graduates and really nice people. But $10 million for football, child, please.
I would say that's
a lot.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
Wow.
For the entirety of the football program, $10 million? That's not going to last forever.
But from a single donor of regular people, and then I could just think of so many other places that $10 million should go
that's
to.
what I'm like.
Maybe even vaccine.
Oh, right. Or
it's one of those states.
Child, please.
College football coach is the Is the governor there?
All right, everybody pay attention because this one is a choose your own adventure type of child, please. So, a Goodwill employee in Oklahoma found $42K hidden in a pile of donated clothes. Now, believing in karma, she tracked down owner down and returned all of the money. As a thank you, that person gave her $1,000. So, is this only $1,000, child, please? Or is this, child, please, she should have kept all the cash? Or is it all you money grubbers out there shaking your head at the $1,000? Children, please.
Children. No.
Children.
Oh my
she
goodness.
did the right thing.
She did $1,000 though. And she did the right thing giving it back.
The day before.
She did the right thing giving it back, but he could have come up more than 1,000. He should have done 10%.
Yeah, Amy, you say it's $1,000 more than she had the day before, but it ain't. It's $41,000 less than she had the moment before. And I think you got to get $5,000 as the minimum for that return.
Child, please. What if he needed that for a medical procedure on his daughter?
Well, I don't care. Don't leave $42,000 cash in Goodwill stuff. I mean, what are you doing?
He should have said that in the story if that's the case. 10%.
Yeah, he's
that woman
anonymous.
deserves 10%.
Okay.
If somebody finds my money, I don't owe them anything. That's what that comes down to.
Oh, please.
Okay. He's not getting his money back.
It's pretty good. Hey, Krista.
All right.
There.
Let me tell you what's coming up next. It's the breakup line you never want to hear. I think we'd be better off as friends. Ugh. We're talking that in Deep Dish in a little bit. Brandon?
Yeah, and after the break, we're talking to Chicago Fire actors David Eigenberg and Eamonn Walker about Season 9, and Sex and the City fans should stick around for sure. I'm about to find out if we're going to see Steve in the reboot.
All right, a brief little dip in the temperatures, but then like a phoenix, we rise to the 70s this weekend. Going to be awesome this weekend into early next week. This weather report brought to you by United Auto Insurance. Get your free quote, call, or click today.
Engine 51, report. Anybody!
I can't believe it. I shouldn't even be here.
We're gonna get you out of here, ma'am. Just breathe easy.
Two of the guys bringing the fire for Chicago Fire Season 9. No pressure to David Eigenberg and Eamonn Walker, but my brother is a firefighter in the Chicago area. My other brother is a fire lieutenant in the Chicago area, and my dad's a fire chief in the Chicago area. And despite all that, I get all of my fire information from you two and what you guys do on the show. But Eamonn Walker, you play the chief. I mean, it must be every episode you're learning something new about this business, this craft, and trying to represent it in a good way.
Yeah, and fortunately for me, as I've mentioned to other people before, Steve Chigarodis is like a wonderful teacher. And I'm sure your family know exactly who Steve Chigarodis is. And he's a firefighter's firefighter. He's like a walking god in Chicago. And I said this the other day very genuinely. We would not have this show, especially 9 years in, if it wasn't for him.
I also think that, hopefully the show is a window into the inside, because the real firefighters, generally speaking, they don't really talk about what they've been through. They don't bring it home, generally speaking, my experience with them. And even my, I would say even emotional, intimate, might be too strong a word, but, my close relationships with real first responders, and even in 9 years, has only revealed tiny little moments that they've let fly in a very, not guarded, but, like if they know you well enough. But there are very few war stories that really occur with the real firefighters. They've been through a lot if they've been in a busy house, which most of the people we know have been, and they've seen it. They've been through it, and there's deep heartbreak, that is stitched into. Tragedy is part of the real life of the first responder.
Do you have first responders on set with you guys to kind of talk with you through those nuances while these scenes are going down, and maybe even, break down some of the own trauma you may be dealing with and portraying these heavy subject matter?
Some of the extras you see are real firefighters and paramedics who were out the night before, who have finished their session and they've come straight to our set, and they're being extras. And if you can try and get stuff out of them. We're actors, we're always asking questions, but it's like trying to get blood out of a stone.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, well, just explain this little bit, and they'll explain the bit in a very technical, flat way, but their emotions will not be attached to that explanation.
David, I wanted to ask you, and you too, Eamonn, I mean, I've seen you guys filming in Chicago, right? I think we've all had a street where we're like, can't turn there, Chicago Fire's there, and we all love it because we love people that film in our city. Does that help you, whether you're interacting with Chicagoans as you go to grab a bite to eat or whatever it may be, does that help you get into your character, into that mode of what Chicago really feels like?
Go, David.
Definitely. Chicagoans, they got an edge, and they're fun and they're funny, and they have a brutal sense of humor. It's harsher than New York. It's harsher than Los Angeles, but in a way that I deeply appreciate, because they're very forthcoming with their humor, which is they're busting chops is a real Chicago thing, and they it's deeper than it is in a lot of other cities, and I just think it's a great thing. I really like. I get hammered, and I really. Good way to show affection. I get hammered.
Oh, you're fitting great here.
It's one of the best things to do.
You're in good company with me and Brandon. Trust me.
That's our specialty. We should have a degree in that, actually. The drinking part. David, got to ask you real quick, man. They got a Sex and the City reboot coming up.
What?
Any chance that you are going to pop up in there at some point?
They made a call, and I expressed my interest. We're trying to figure out if it's really a timing thing. And quite honestly, my heart, my soul here is in Chicago. So if we can work something out, I would love to go back there. But my first priority in my heart is here. So if we can work it out, I think we might be able to. It remains to be seen exactly.
If not, just get Eamonn to do it.
Huh?
No.
Come on, you just hop on in there.
I don't make a very good Steve. Trust me.
Thanks,
he says he will pass on that one.
All right, you can watch all new episodes of Chicago Fire Wednesday nights, and we'll be right back.
The job hunt, it's stressful. And when you see cover letter required, the anxiety just goes up. But you can't let a couple pieces of paper keep you from your dream job. So Lauren Ward Martin gave us some tips on polishing those resumes and cover letters to perfection.
You can stand out amongst other candidates truly by being yourself. So be confident in your work. You know your work experience, you know your objective, you know your skill set, and you know that you hold value. Make sure that you're using words like how you're passionate. Use words that explain who you are as a person. It's easy to say that you're a hard worker, but try to go outside of the box, look up some vocabulary, not extremely large words, but just words outside of the box that an employer wouldn't hear typically, like a hard worker. So instead of a hard worker, maybe you want to explain how you're a passionate person, how you go above and beyond.
We are partnering with CD1 Price and Cara to collect work attire for Chicago.
You can stand out amongst other candidates truly by being yourself. So be confident in your.
There is still time to donate new and gently used clothes and business clothes. We've collected 4,000 items already. Let's get it to 5,000 people. You can drop clothes off at your local CD1 Price Cleaner, and all the deets are on CW26.com. And we'll be right back with Deep Dish after this.
Okay. That's my drum solo.
Get to your
Tarek
job.
and Christina rose to fame on HGTV's Flip or Flop as a hot married couple who flipped houses. So they got divorced a couple years ago, but they still film their show together and joke around about how he's the best she's ever had. A few other jokes kind of popped in there. So could you be friends with your exes, John? I don't know. Could you? I don't know if I could.
Well, let's see. I think you can be. I certainly have had amicable breakups in the past. But for me, it's like, what's the point? What are we hanging on to? Unless there's like a genuine friendship there that somehow elevates my life a little bit more. Like I'm shedding friends as you get older, right? Like I think you start to lose touch with people. Why am I now taking up someone else's coveted spot? I mean, like if you're in my friend list, my top 3 or 4 or 5, that's coveted spot to be in. Why am I putting an X there? I got other people I could put there instead.
But I think isn't it different between you're talking about that spot and being, able to communicate with that person? I have always had really good relationships with my exes. The ex before my husband, he and I stayed in really good touch. He's married, he has kids now. Occasionally send messages. I see his kids on Instagram. I'm like, they are adorable. Congratulations, you're so lucky. Blah blah blah. I mean, can't that just be that?
It can be.
Amy, you must be doing something right over there. Because I have a couple exes that I am not on any speaking terms with. And it just happened to be that way. It's not like things ended burning bridges, but it's just I have no reason to talk to them. We kind of broke up cold turkey, and that's that. And that's where the way the cookie crumbled. And then some of them, like if they reached out to me and be like, hey, okay, hey, what's up? But yes, they are not in my coveted top 5, as John was saying.
No, right. I agree.
Makes sense. Yeah,
Here
it's
goes
tough
Brandon.
because I believe you shouldn't water dead plants, right? So I can't say that I'm like besties with any ex, but every ex that I ever had, they still like me. They don't hate me. So, I mean, am I friends with them? Maybe not. Are they friends in their head with me? Maybe so. Like they think they just because they exchange a few DMs that they back in the saddle. Doesn't work that way.
If you're dating within your employment pool or people in your industry, you got to remember to keep those relationships on a good level because you never know who you're gonna bump into later in life.
That's
Brandon, you also kill a lot of plants, so you should watch those plant analogies. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm a great plant talk.